committed to ensuring the smooth functioning of departmental operations, activities, and events managed by the students of the economics department under the purview of the teaching faculty. It oversees a wide range of spheres, from the conduction of academic seminars and alumni sessions to the hosting of inter-college competitions. To smoothen functioning, the association has a highly organized structure spread across departments ranging from marketing to sponsorship, each led by secretaries who are in turn supervised by the senior core council comprising of final year students. The association also organizes the annual fest of the economics department, Bliss Point, a well regarded event in the undergraduate circuit. Now, I would like to take the opportunity and invite the man of the hour, Mr. Chinmaya Amte, to kickstart the workshop on basics of Excel. He is pursuing his CFA charter and has completed undergraduation from Mumbai University. He has worked at Tres Vista Financial Services in the investment banking division, strategy and transaction at EY India, and is currently working in a private equity role at M&G. Sir has also conducted sessions on financial modeling and analytics at EY, ISB Hyderabad, and IIM Lucknow. It is an honor to have you, sir, and the floor is all yours.
Yeah, thanks Arjun for the introduction. So yeah, and good to know about the Economics Association as well. So thanks a lot for inviting me and hosting this session. So uh, yeah, so I'll just wanted to check some parameters before we start the session. So just wanted to know how many of you are able to access Excel right now, on your system. So just try working on your Excel and just see if you can find, XLOOKUP on your system. So I have typed it in the chat box. So if you have XLOOKUP, just react a thumbs up to my message. So I would understand, what type of version of Excel you're using. And in case you don't have it online, you can open an account on www.office.com. So it's by Microsoft, of Microsoft. So you can create a free account there as well, which was communicated to you guys before the session. So just let me know in case you guys are able to access XLOOKUP. Just react thumbs up to the message which I shared on Teams right now. So yeah, I'm waiting for the responses. So that is one thing. And in terms of the session, so I would request everyone to be the hyperactive in chat box. So feel free to unmute yourself and ask as many questions as possible. The more interactive we do, the better it is. And be extremely active, and whatever I ask you to mention on chat box, do definitely mention that. That helps me as a trainer to understand what is going on in your mind, and how much of the things which I'm talking is making sense to you. Are you finding it relatable or not? So being active is very important. Otherwise, I would have known by your body language that whether you are understanding or not understanding it, if it was like a face-to-face kind of a setup. But the only way I can communicate to my audience in a virtual setup is through chat box and whatever you speak by unmuting yourself. So yeah, so and also organizers, I can see few of the guests are in the lobby. So if you can admit them, that would be really helpful. Yeah, I'm waiting for a few of the responses on the chat box. I've already asked you if you guys can access XLOOKUP, or if you have made an account on office.com, just say yes or no in the chat box so that I would understand what type of topics I can cover. If you guys have access, maybe we can do some interesting topics as well, which would give you a competitive edge, because those are the new functionalities in the Excel. Shivangi is able to access, Sanjeevani is able to access, Navya is able to access. That's great. Yeah, and one more a mandatory rule in the session: please don't call me sir. Please call me Chinmay or Chinmay Bhaiya, whatever is comfortable to you. Prithvi does not have, Divyam has. Okay, that's good. Yeah, so just let me know whatever it is, just put it in the chat box. And another reason of asking question at the beginning of session is to understand whether the audience is attentive or not, because it's a Saturday evening. So some might be just logging into the Teams channel and not being active in the meeting. So the number of responses I get on the chat box also ensures to know me, how many of you are actually active and listening to me. So it was a trick question as well. Rakesh has, that's great. Tripati Aditya has, that's great. Ujasvi has, that's nice. Kriti is asking how to access. Okay. Okay, Naman has, that's good. Cool. So most of you guys have access to the XLOOKUP. That's great to know. So few prerequisites, before starting the session would be to have an account on office.com. So in case if you don't have access to any of these features, what you can do is have two approaches. One, you can understand things vicariously, like I would be demonstrating on my screen. So just try to understand from my screen, and once you got access to your college laptops or your college computer labs or your friend's laptop, maybe you can try it on your own, or you can create a free account on www.office.com. So you can create a free account there as well. Even that's an option. You can use your student ID and create a free account, so you have access, and it's by Microsoft only. So there is no potential risk of any I mean, it's a safe website for you guys to access and practice. So that's what I wanted to say. Cool. So we have around close to 38 participants. So that's a good enough audience to start. So I'll quickly start. So just wanted to know, are you guys able to access the screen? Are you guys able to see my screen where I've mentioned basic, advanced, and Excel, and I am typing, are you able to see my screen? These are some basic caveats I have to check. So cool. Yeah, cool. Chia Mukund. Okay, cool. Thanks. That's great to know. So I'll give a quick introduction about myself. So Arjun has given an elaborate introduction, but still I'd like to introduce myself. So I'm Chinmay. I'm based out of Mumbai. Currently, I'm working in a private equity role at MNG Investments. Before that, I was associated with ENY and Trust Vista Financial Services. So, I graduated in 2018. So it's been roughly 3 years I'm working in a corporate setup. This is my LinkedIn ID, which is there with all of you guys who have access to the workbook. But I'm also putting it on the chat box. So feel free to send me a connect on LinkedIn. More than happy to connect you. This is my personal WhatsApp number. So you can feel free to reach out to me on WhatsApp in case you have any queries. In case you want to send any files or anything, you can send it to my email ID as well. So these are my point of contacts. And this is my dedicated hashtag on LinkedIn. So if you can follow this hashtag, so you would get all the list of my posts in one single scenario. You can read one after the another. So this is my dedicated hashtag. So please follow that as well. Now talking about my Excel journey and why you should learn Microsoft Excel. So I've been working on Excel since past 3 years, and whichever role you choose, post your college is over, in a corporate setup, you would be encountering some or the other kind of spreadsheet software. So if you join a typical startup, they are the ones who are probably using Google Sheets or anything, because those tools are relatively cheaper to use. And if you join a big company, most of them have Microsoft products. So Microsoft Excel is something which you are going to encounter in your corporate life. So why you should learn Excel? So there are two primary reasons to learn Excel. So Excel is a tool which helps you to do data analysis. That's the one key thing. And the second tool which Excel helps you is in terms of data visualization. So data analysis and data visualization. So these are the two things you can do using Microsoft Excel. And whether you join, let's say you are from the HR team and you just want to calculate what's the attrition rate of the current department or of the organization. You want to get a list of people who have joined after 1st April 2022. Let's say you want to know what's the breakup of number of analysts in the firm, how many vice presidents are there in the firm. So all these questions, the data would be in a tabular format, and Excel would be help you to analyze or understand those kind of tools in a HR role. Let's say if you are joining a finance role, which I have been working in, so you would be working on financial models. You would be doing some kind of evaluation analysis. You would be plotting the financials of the company. So all that analysis or all that activity or we do, it's all happening in Excel. So that's the reason you would be encountering Excel like in your day-to-day life. You would be spending approximately like 3 to 4 hours on a daily basis while working in a corporate setup on Excel. And if you like join a data-heavy role, it can go as long as 8 to 10 hours, like your entire career. So that's why learning Excel is important. And first of all, I would like to congratulate all of you for taking out time and joining this session. And I understand most of you are like undergraduate students. So I'll give you a brief story about myself. I had no clue what Excel is when I was in my undergraduate days. I did a basic project, but that was also involving like help from my friends. So I still remember on the first day or on first week of my corporate setup, like the place I had joined, I was struggling with VLOOKUPs. I was getting ref errors continuously, and I left that day at around 9:30 o'clock in the night because I didn't know Excel. So that was the point where I started. Like I started after joining my first job, I started learning Excel, and these days I'm fairly comfortable with Excel and invited at so many places and like doing a lot of work extensively. So you guys have started early in your undergraduate days. That's a fantastic thing. So don't take it as a pressure to learn Excel. Take it as a challenge rather than as a pressure that I want to be good at something. So that's the right approach you should have when learning Excel. So uh, let me just check how many participants are there. So we have around close to 38 participants. And today's session is also around like basics of Excel, because I understand most of you guys are students like college societies, like undergraduate students. So I don't want to cover like a lot of complex topics and scare you guys. So we would be doing some hands-on training as to some of the basic topics in Excel, and also in between I would be discussing some keyboard shortcuts, how to learn Excel, good resources to learn Excel. So post this 2 hour session, you would have some hands-on experience on Excel, and you would know, or you would have a career, you would have like track or a path in terms of how I can go about my Microsoft Excel journey. So let's start with directly an example. So I just wanted to ensure that all of you guys have access to workbook. In case you don't have access to workbook, so just put it on the chat box, and some of your teammates would be uploading the workbook with you on the chat box, so you can download it from there. So let's come to data. Come to the data tab called as cleaning the data set. So what happens in Excel is that this entire Excel is called as a workbook. So this entire Excel is called as workbook, and there's different sheets you can see, like cleaning data, what if, GS. These are all called as worksheets. So these are like worksheet in Excel. So this is called as worksheet, or some people also call it as tab. So this is like basic overview of how your Excel looks like. So now, and also one more thing, I would be asking a lot of questions because I want in 2 hours we can only cover limited number of topics. But if I give you an approach on how you should think and how you should work, that approach will be with you for the like considerable amount of time. So we'll be spending more time in approach or the thought process rather than the actual output. Now let's understand, some day-to-day scenarios you would be encountering in your day-to-day life, whether as a college student, like doing some research work, or like as a corporate professional, encountering the data. Now this is a very basic example. I would be sharing like a basic solution which is there for like basic users, and I would be also sharing an advanced solution which very advanced users may not also be knowing. So it will be mix of match for both of the audiences. So like the first thing which we are going to understand here is this is the data. So let's try and understand what's the data is. So if you see, it's a name of a person followed by his gender, followed by his location, and followed by his age. And another, like let's take example of Sakshi. So like Sakshi, she's a female, she's from Hyderabad, and she's 33 years old. Now, what is the task of this data is that like this is typical batch profile of a student. And let's say what I want to do is calculate the average age of the batch profile. But unfortunately, the data which has been collected, from maybe from internet or from SQL server or from some website or from some Google Forms or anything, it has come up in this particular format. And for me, in this particular format, it's not possible to understand the average age of the student. So can anyone tell me in the chat box what would be your approach in terms of calculating the average age? Like would like to know some some of the responses in the chat box. How would you go about solving the problem where we have to calculate the average age of the batch or the profile or the data set which we have in front of us? Like what would be your approach? You can put it in the chat box or you can unmute and ask. Mahesh is saying is unable to see my screen. Okay. What about others? Yeah, Suryash and Prithvi, you both are correct. But how would you apply the average formula? Like, let's say I understand there is an average formula in Excel, average, but I'm not able to apply an average. I'm getting an error, right? So how would you go about it?
Sorry to interrupt, you are still on the index page. So
Okay, yeah. So I think this is going to be an issue with screen one. Okay, I'll share my screen one. Cool. The issue with Teams is that, you know, I cannot simultaneously see the chat box, but that's not a challenge. That's another challenge. That's why, you know, I don't prefer doing it on Teams, but it's okay. So yeah, this is the data set. So I would request audience to. Achha, now, are you able to see my screen now? I would request, you know, some of you from the organizing committee to be, you know, just unmute, or, you know, you can turn your camera on and, like, you know, have this discussion so that like we spend less time, you know, in technical issues. Okay, cool. That's good. So yeah, so can anyone tell me, like, what would be on what data set you would apply the formula? Okay. So Ganesh is saying we would be using flash fill. Okay, that's great. What about others? Someone is saying on the chat box that we would be using a split screen approach. That's absolutely correct. So what we have to do is understand, like, this is the data, and in real life, no one is going to give you a cleaned data set. The data is going to be unclean. So even if we know we have an average function in Excel, which will help us to apply an average of, you know, the age in the formula, the problem is going to be we have to clean the data set first, right? So how to clean the data set in Excel? I would request everyone to observe my screen carefully and then practice it hands-on on your systems as well. So there is something called as text to columns in Excel. So what text to columns does is that it splits the data into various cells. If data is there into one single cell, it will split the data into multiple cells. So what you have to do is, first step is to select the data. So from column A4 to column A10, like, you know, A4 to A10, you select the data, go to the data tab. In data tab, you have something called as text to columns. Click on text to columns, and then you have here delimited. Click on delimited, next. And if you see here, they are asking you what is the delimiter. Now, if you observe the data is separated by commas. So we would be choosing commas. And immediately once you choose the comma, you can see a preview here, data preview here, you know, Chinmaya Amte Hyderabad 24. All the data set is, you know, cleaned across, and then just click on next and then click on finish. And if you see, my data set has been moved across different cells. I'll quickly show it to you in case you missed it again. So just select the data, go to text to columns, click on delimited, click on next, click on comma. So the moment you click on comma, you see a data preview. Click on next and click on finish. And if you see, all the data is into, you know, separated columns. Let me know, guys, if you are able to get this approach. And then all you have to do is is equal to average. So this is called as a function in Excel. The average is a function in Excel, and then you have to give some input to it. So we would be selecting this range and then click on. If you understand, 27.57 is the average age of the batch, you know, whatever is this college, maybe, like, let's say this is a B school campus. So the average age is 27 years. You can bold the text. In case you want to remove the decimals, you can go here and, you know, you can remove the decimals. So this is like, you know, so this is like average 28 years is the age. And then maybe, you know, you can highlight it. So let's say I go here and I highlight it with this gold color. So this is how you can calculate an average age in Excel. So just wanted to know how many of you are able to get the output in this. Are you able to get 28 as the answer to this? You know, are you able to get this output in your systems? If yes, type 1 in the chat box. If no, then type 0 in the chat box, or you can type yes, no as well. So just let me know if you're able to do what I just demonstrated on the screen. 1, 0, yes, no, anything is fine. And in case you want me to repeat something, you know, just spam the chat box with repeat. I would be more than happy to repeat this stuff. So Samiksha is saying 1, Naman is saying 1. Okay. Navya is able to do okay. Shivangi and okay, someone is else saying to repeat. Yash is saying to repeat. So I'll quickly repeat for those guys who are not able to follow. I'm just doing a Control Z. What you have to do is you have to select the entire data set, and like I'm being very slow for the initial case studies, but going forward I would be fast. So in case someone is not paying that kind of full dedicated attention, so please ensure that there are no distractions and you are paying your full attention. So just select the entire range, go to the data tab, go to text to columns. In text to columns, choose delimited, click on next, click on comma because this data has comma in them. So click on comma, click on next and click on finish. Now this data is cleaned. Now what we have to do is we have to calculate an average age. So type is equal to average and then just select the range. You get an average answer as 27.57, but we can round it off. So how to round it off? Just go to the home tab and you have your functionalities called as increased decimal and decreased decimal. So just click on decreased decimal and you have 28 as the answer. You can do it a bold and maybe you can format it to some other color. Maybe you can change the format to maybe a blue color as well. So in case anyone has any doubts in this case study, unmute and ask in case anyone is facing any challenges. And so the agenda of this case study was to understand how to clean the data set. So we used text to columns to clean the data set and we calculated the average age of the batch size. So these were the two key learnings. So in case anyone has any doubts or queries, please unmute yourself and speak, or you can put it on the chat box as well.
Hello, can you repeat on the average one up?
No, I cannot repeat because I have repeated it a couple of times. So if you have any specific question, let me know. I'm waiting for a couple of minutes so that you guys can get clear with what we just did. In case anyone has any specific question, let me know.
No, sir, it's clear.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot, Vanshika. And please call me Chinmaya or what if the entire data to be clean is in a particular cell? Will still this true? Samiksha, can you repeat your question? Because the data was in a particular cell, right? And we just split it across different cells. So what do you exactly want to know? Cool. I would request audience to be as participative as possible. Like I won't be pushing you guys because I want that voluntary participations from the audience. There should be like a lot of enthusiasm. You should not feel shy or hesitant to ask as many questions as possible. So feel free to ask any questions if you have.
What I meant was here the names are written in particular rows. And what if that this whole data was in a particular cell? Suppose it was in column A and row number 4.
Column A and row number 4. Okay.
The entire data was in this particular cell.
Yeah. So I think this particular all those into one single cell, like even Herges after this. So even you can have a similar approach. So like this is your data set and you want to clean. So even you can clean it. So there are other ways to do it. So that's a good question. So you will have to use a concept of is number, understand what are the number inputs in the particular cell, and then you can accordingly perform the average calculation. So that's slightly an advanced formula. We can discuss it separately offline or in the last 10-15 minutes. If we have Q&A, you can come up with an example and I would show you the solution. But that's a okay, that's a good question. Cool. So cool. So let me just so let's try to understand another case study. So I think if anyone is uncomfortable with the current case study, we can move to the next. You can mention it in the chat box, and I would urge everyone to be very attentive. Whatever I am teaching, it's extremely basic. If you pay attention well in the first or second instances, you would be able to understand, and that's how you would be able to generate maximum value out of the session. So now let's understand this particular problem. So we have some random mobile numbers. So don't try dialing any one of them. Those are all fictional numbers created by me. So yeah, so these are the mobile numbers, and this is a problem which you would often face, like, you know, while collecting a Google form or a Microsoft form, is that people won't be standardizing the numbers. Now what happens is that, you know, someone adds a 0 before a number, like in this case you can see, you know, someone has added a 0. What many people do is that they add +91, someone adds plus. So in this scenario we have +91. In some scenario someone has just, you know, added a 91. Someone has directly added a number as well. So what we want to do is that we want to clean the numbers and we want to standardize the numbers, because let's say you want to put this number into a system or a database, and that database has a limitation that it only accepts 10 digits as a mobile number. So what we have to do is we have to clean these numbers so that we have, you know, those unique 10 digits per mobile number, and we can put it into the database. So before answering it in an Excel format or, you know, any format, like if you just glance through each number one by one, and there are not many numbers, so you have like around, like let's say around 13 numbers. So what would be the logic? You would be telling computer, you know, ki, how do you want to clean the data? Like let's say when I'm telling you, ki, let me take example of Samiksha. Samiksha, this is the data set, and give me the cleaned mobile numbers, so that, you know, I can input those 10 digits into my system and I can upload it in my college database. So what would be your approach to cleaning this number? You know, I'm not asking you an Excel formula. What would be the mathematical logic, or, you know, what would be the business logic when you see those numbers and you want to clean these numbers? Like let's say if you have to give instructions to Excel in English, what would be you telling Excel into the English language? You can put it in the chat box or unmute and speak. I hope the question is clear.
Sir, I would say that last 10 digits from the right.
Okay, who's this? It's Rakesh. Okay, so Rakesh has given his answers last 10 digits. Okay, that's interesting. Anyone else? Shubham is also saying last 10 digits of the number. Okay, Aditi is also saying pick up the last 10 digits. Okay, that's fine. But can anyone, you know, refine this question? I think Rajat was on the right track. So Rajat, could you please repeat your answer again? Because everyone is saying last 10 digits, but see, computer doesn't understand last, right? So last, I mean, what do you mean by last 10 digits? It can be this 4 last digits, or, you know, like this digits. So you have to give a very systematic answer when you're communicating with the computer. So another example of last 10 digits for computer would be like, you know, these are also the last 10 digits, but then this answer would be wrong, you know, in this scenario. These are not the last 10 digits, because when you say last, like what's the starting point? You have to define that also. So Rajat, can you repeat your answer that you are going on a right track? I think we lost Rajat, but no issues. Anyone else would like to try the answers? Yeah, Nikita has given the answer in the chat box, and that's absolutely right. So this is last 10 digits from the right. Right, so from the right direction, so not from the left direction, from the right direction, like when I start going ulta. So I want the last 10 digits from the right. So that's the right approach. Now let's say, like, you know, we don't know how to do this in Excel. We just know this use case. So what we can do is, you know, we can explore what are the formulas in Excel. So just let me know and, you know, go and type write. So there is something called as write formula in Excel. And if you see, Excel has clearly mentioned returns the specified number of characters from the end of a text string. So when you go to an end of a text string, it will specify the last 10 digits. So what you have to do is click on write. So just, you know, is equal to type write. You can press a tab key, you know, tab key, you know, get the formula. First, it is asking you as a text as the input. So this is the text as the input, and how many characters we want. Mobile numbers are 10. So, you know, we want 10 characters. So this is how you have cleaned the data set. Now, if you see, the 0 is left and you just have the 10 digits mobile numbers. So I'll repeat it again. So we would be using something called as write function. So I'll be typing is equal to RIGST write. This is the text, and this is, you know, 10 digits as the character. So therefore typing as 10. So I would request everyone to, you know, try this formula in their cells. B13, you know, you can just try. And if you are getting this mobile number as the output, you can, you know, put yes, no in the chat box, or 1 zeros in the chat box, whatever is comfortable, so that, you know, we can move ahead with how we can get this answer for all the other, you know, remaining mobile numbers. the formula, this is called as a formula bar in Excel. So you can see the formula here and you can see the output here. Navya is saying yes, Ganesh is saying yes, cool. Nikita is saying yes. In case anyone is facing any challenges, please mention it right away so that we can address that challenge. Cool. Cool. Everyone is able to do. Now, can anyone tell me, should I go and type again right here and 10 is equal to right and 10. Is this a right approach, or is there any smart way to do this? Like, I'm not just interested in this particular mobile number. I want all mobile numbers in the 10 digits. So should I just go and type right again and again? Or is there any smarter way to do this?
We can use we can copy and paste the whole formula, and what we need to do is to select the cell of 94655, then press Control C, then press Shift and arrow down to the last number, and then Control V.
Yeah, correct, man. So there are two approaches, and I would be discussing both the approaches. So you can just click on this plus symbol and just drag this formula down. And if you see, all the formulas are dragging like till the very bottom end. So this is one approach which you can do it. I'll quickly repeat it. So just hold on this cell, go here, there will be a plus symbol, and just drag the formula down. So this is one approach of doing things. Second thing is something called as drag the formula down. Drag the formula using handler. Second approach would be the best, which we all are experts at, simply copy paste. So just Control C and just go down and press Control V. So Control C, Control V is also an option. Control C plus Control V. So this is another approach. And the another approach which I like the most is by copying the formula. So like, let's just understand. So Control C, and then what you can do is that you can just go down and you can press Control Alt V. And what you are doing is that you want to paste the formula. So you can select a formula here and you can do OK. So you are dragging those formulas down. So I would request everyone to do this step, that is Control C, like CTRL, like Control C plus Control Alt V, then choose formula and then paste the numbers. So I'm just clearing this, deleting this, Alt H E. Control C, first step, just go select this entire region, then press Control Alt V. You will get this paste special dialog box. Put here formulas and click on OK. And let me know if you are able to get this output as as your final solution. So we have successfully cleaned the numbers. In case you are comfortable with this case study, again, a fantastic solution, Rakesh. You can do it with the help of Control D as well. Control D is also another shortcut to drag the formulas down. So even Control D is an option. So see, there are so many solutions to one particular problem in Excel, and that's what I wanted to teach you guys is there is no one single formula to there is no single way of doing any particular problem. There will be 10-15 approaches, and what we should be doing is that we should be learning all those approaches as a student, and whenever the situation comes, you should be using the best approach. So let me know if you're able, and if you're able to get all the numbers cleaned. Just let me know via yes, no, or 1-0 in the chat box, and then we can move ahead with few of the other topics in the session as well. And in case anyone has any doubt, feel free to unmute and ask that doubt in this, ask that doubt. Cool. Thanks, Aditi, Jia, Anish, Shweta, Naman. Cool. Now let's understand few other things. Now see, this is a right function, and there are like similar functions like right. But now I want you to teach how to approach or how to understand a particular function. So as every teacher, I am also giving you some homework. So if you see, understand here, we learn the right function. Now these are your homework functions. You have to go home and learn left function. You have to go home and again revise the right function. You have to go home and understand mid function. You have to go home and understand length function. So these are the 4 functions, which is your homework. So go understand the these functions, and you can practice them on your own, like how to learn or how to understand a particular function. So it's very simple. So just type the name of the function. So just like, let's say I want to understand left function, or let's say I want to understand mid function. So just type that function's name, hit a tab key. And whenever you open the bracket, there is one shortcut keyboard key, which is called as Control A. You can click Control A and this function arguments dialog box appears. So again, I'm repeating, do it with me. Let's type the name of the function, mid function, press tab key, tab key in the keyboard, and then press Control and A, Control A. This function arguments dialog box pops up. And in functions arguments dialog box, click help on this function. Now, moment you click help on this function, you are going to support.microsoftoffice.com. Now, this is a page by Microsoft. Like here, Microsoft has clearly mentioned mid B functions. You have the description of the function. You have the important points. You have examples. Now, students come and ask me, Chinmaya, we don't have enough examples to practice. Microsoft have already given you a few examples here to practice, right? And it has also given you the common pitfalls while applying or understanding mid function. So what you can do is you can just go through this documentation and you can learn mid function on your own. So you don't need any particular trainer for you to go and understand the mid function. That is how you can learn few functions in Excel. Like let's say you want to learn VLOOKUP function. So just type VLOOKUP tab, press Control A, go to help on this function, and see here it is VLOOKUP function. We have a video as well by the Microsoft, which you can play the video as well. You have how to get started. You have examples. You have 5 examples given by Microsoft. Then common problems. Then you have best practices to follow. So this becomes like a Bible for you, to learn Excel. This is by support.microsoftoffice.com. So understand the market cap of Microsoft is $2 trillion or even more than that. And Microsoft generates around billions and billions of money from its Office product. So that page is going to be the most updated page, and that page is coming directly from the Microsoft. So it is going to be like a Bible for you. So in case you want to learn anything, you should learn from that page, And also you can follow a lot of good content creators around Excel community on LinkedIn, YouTube, everything. But in case you are a student, you don't have resources, you can learn directly from the Microsoft page as well. So that is how you can start learning functions on your own. So I just wanted a quick promise from all of you guys. Would you guys be learning these 4 functions? And I would request everyone to create a LinkedIn post out of it. I created I understood the mid function, and you create your own example. See this example of mobile numbers, I created it on my own. So try to think what scenario this function would be helpful. You can watch a couple of YouTube videos and take inspiration and create your own database. You don't need client database, or you don't need anyone's database for you to understand any function, so that is how you can learn functions. So I want a quick promise from all of you guys that you would be learning any one or all 4 of these functions. You post it on LinkedIn, you tag me, so that you have a challenge completed. Yeah, I learned these 4 functions, and I have understood the use cases as well. So that's about few functions in Excel world. So these are called as text functions. So if you go to formulas, and here you have something called as text function. So these are all text functions. If you see, find, left, mid, right. So this whole category comes into the text function in the Excel world. So I'll give you a quick 1-minute break. In case I'm going too slow, just mention that in the chat box. If the speed is appropriate, just mention that in the chat box. If I'm going too fast, just mention that in the chat box. So I'm giving you a quick 1-minute water break in case you want to check your Instagrams, DMs, or WhatsApp status. You can quickly do that, and maybe we can take another case study after we take a 1-minute break. And in case anyone wants to speak anything, just let me know in the chat box, or you can unmute and speak.
Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm Vishal from Hyderabad.
Hi, Vishal.
Sir, I want to know what skill required for MIS executive role. As I am a working professional in Hyderabad, I know the Excel's some basics of advanced Excel, but I want to learn more about the Power BI and Tableau. So can you brief the what skill required for exactly for MIS executive?
Yeah, sure. I'll park that question in the Q&A. I'll definitely take that question. Thanks. I'll just note it down and I'll take it.
Thank you.
Someone is getting lost. Sorry, I cannot pronounce your name. It's a bit odd. Don't worry. In case you are getting lost, all case studies are different from one another, and I can understand sometimes it's overwhelming when we are learning it for the first time. So just try to have that composure and try to understand as many things as you can, and we can always discuss it in the Q&A session if you have any doubts or anything, and just try to understand more in the next case studies, because all case studies are different from one another. So it's not that you require some prerequisites knowledge or anything. So just try to focus more and understand and speak up. In case you don't have any question, ask a specific question so that I can help you. So let's go to challenges. Now let's go to modeling and DT section. So I would request everyone to go to modeling and DT section. How to navigate within sheets in Excel. Now let's say you can go, and if you see there is a right arrow here, so you can click or do a right click here, and once you do a right click you can see all this sheets tabs get activated, and from here you can click on modeling and DT. So this is way you can navigate when there are a lot of sheets in Excel. So just click on right arrow, let's say go to the $sign tab, or so I would request everyone to come to the modeling and DT tab and just be here with me. So that is how you navigate tabs within Excel. Now I want a quick answer from you. So these are the Microsoft 2021 financial. This is their sales. This is their cost of goods sold. This is their income, EBIT, pre-tax income, income tax, and net profit. Now what we have to do is we have to calculate the net profit. We have to calculate the income tax for Microsoft for the year 2021. So I want to know the tax rate. Assumption of a tax rate is 30%. So let's say the tax rate is 30%. So can anyone tell me what would be the income tax amount for Microsoft? So I want two things from you. I want the amount. So you can use your personal calculator, mobile, or you can call up your friend and ask. I don't care. I just want the amount. And second thing is I want what Excel formula you would be using. So I want these two questions from you in the chat box. I hope the question is clear. You just have to calculate the income tax amount. The tax rate is 30%. Let's see who gets first. Maybe if there is any prize or budget for the Economics Association, they might give you a small gift, maybe a virtual gift, to anyone who answers the questions first correctly. Yeah, so there are two questions. One is the amount and the another is Excel formula. So I want both of the answers, not just the question. I want your amount as well as the formula which you have used. And formula would be very simple, something like B1 into 30% or something. So just wanted to know what formula you have used. Whatever the formula is there in this particular cell, just post it in the chat box. Cool. So Samiksha has given us an answer, B13 into 30%, and that's a correct answer. It's just the tax rate. Yeah, correct. So what you can do is B13 into 30%, right? You can write either 0.0 or you can write 30%, and you get 21,333 as the answer. But let's understand what you have to do is, so see, understand the logic of net profit is summation of pre-tax income and this. So if you understand this formula, all expenses are in negative. So what you have to do is you just have to multiply this by -1. Just multiply it by -1 as well, because we are keeping all expenses as negative and then taking a sum. So you have to also multiply it by -1. So that would give you a correct net profit. So see, 70,000 is the amount they have earned. 20,000 is the expenses which they have to pay to the income tax department, and roughly around 49,700 rupees, or USD millions, they can take away their home. So there are two challenges with this formula. One challenge is that you have, let's say you want to change the tax rate tomorrow. So what you have to do is you have to go inside that specific cell and you have to change the 30% to some particular number. So that's not the best approach while presenting the data to anyone, or giving this data to anyone. Let's say you give this data to someone senior or someone who is not well versed with that Excel, he would be very uncomfortable editing this formula. So how would I do it is or how you generally do it in financial modeling, which is like, another skill set which is required if you want to work in a finance space, is that we make a separate cell or, separate sheet where we list all the assumptions. So if you see in the cell B18, I have made an assumptions, and here I will note down all the assumptions, right? So current tax rate, or my assumption is 30%. So I'm just inputting 30% here, right? And then what I would be doing is that I would be multiplying this cell with this particular cell. And then I would be also adding a minus symbol because I want to keep all my expenses into a negative. So correct, Naman. So that's a correct approach. So this would be your correct approach in terms of, presenting the data. Now, let's say you give this data to your college principal or, to your teacher who don't, who don't want to go and mess up, all the data, or maybe to some client or anyone. So people like, generally don't want to mess up someone's formula. But if they know, okay, this is an assumption sheet and this is a tax rate, they can just go and, quickly type in here 25% and see, what would be the net profit if the tax rate is changing. Someone who is not well versed with Excel, or someone who is, does not want to play around with your formulas because there always a mistake happens. So this is, correct way of presenting the data set. So I would request everyone, to get this formula into your systems, like B13 into B19, and then, minus, just multiplied by -1 or add a minus sign before, and the tax rate is 30%. So I just want to know if everyone is comfortable with this answer. In case anyone has any doubt or anything, please unmute yourself and speak up. So in case anyone has any doubt, I'll give you 30 seconds. You can speak up. Cool. So everyone is clear. Now I am telling this, the formula which we have written is wrong. It's not 100% wrong, but it's 70 to 80% wrong. So can anyone tell me why the formula which we have written is wrong? Can anyone tell me? It's a question which helps you. You should know basics of accounting and you should know basics of taxation. And then you can tell me that why this solution is wrong. Please unmute and you can speak it for like you can unmute and speak. Let me see who gets this question right. It's more about a business logic. So like always you should think as like as what we can call like a Marwadi person or a Baniya person, like those who are like real businessmen, or like a grocery owner or a chai wala. These people have that real business acumen. So let's like think of a shopkeeper owner. Like what is wrong with this formula? Can anyone unmute and speak? I'm waiting for the answers. If I don't get answers, if guys are not responsive, then this session is going to be very boring. So you speak up. If the answer is wrong, I don't care. I make 100 mistakes a day. Companies make 100 mistakes a day. Companies go bankrupt. So there should not be any failure for making any mistake. But do unmute and speak. I can see one right answer in the chat box. Or I would assume you guys are sleeping. Like that's the only assumptions I can make because your camera is also turned off. Or I'm talking and I'm talking Greeks or Latin, and you guys are not able to. We are not on the same page. So I want some answer from you. Like unmute and speak whatever you think of this. We'll just check if there is any communication.
So the loss-making businesses are not need to pay the tax to the government.
Correct. So Mayank, yeah, correct, Mayank. So Mayank and Rakesh both have given us the right answer. So in case there is a loss, there is no need to pay any tax. Now I'll tell you what's wrong with this formula. Like let's say if there is a huge loss, I change this number, and now understand what's happening. Your pre-tax income.
Sir, can you please zoom the screen?
Yeah, I'll zoom in. So like let's say I change the cost of goods sold to some higher number. Now just like let's try to interpret this, go beyond Excel. Just think like a businessman. My pre-tax income is a loss. So I've made a loss of like let's say 52 lakhs or something. Then income tax amount should be 0, right? If you're making a loss, you need not pay any tax. But what this Excel model is giving me output is that the net profit is 36. So net profit is reducing. So मेरा loss हुआ 52 million का, billion का, whatever is the number, and but net profit is 36. This answer is wrong. So whenever you are making a loss, the income tax should be 0 rupees. Right? If you are making a profit, then the output should come as 21,000 what we have got. So can anyone tell me what would be the correct logic or correct formula to put in the cell B14? Quickly put the formula in the chat box, or unmute yourself and speak the logic. What would be the correct formula to put in the cell B14? Aditi is saying F function. Can Aditi, you go one step ahead and type the formula for me in the chat box? Rakesh is saying F function. Anyone else has any answer? Let's see if someone is able to come up with a more mathematical solution or some different function. Correct. So I think you guys are able to get it. So what we would be doing is that I would be proposing two solutions here. So one is by the normal F function and another would be doing with the help of max function. So let's try to understand the business logic of it. So see, business logic क्या है, English logic क्या है? The English logic is कि अगर मेरा pre-tax income positive है, or if I'm earning money, then I'll have to pay tax. Otherwise, I'll have to pay zero tax, right? So what's the business logic is that pre-tax income होगा. Writing it in Hindi or like English, pre-tax income is there. Then this formula, else it would be zero, right? So this would be the logic. So let's try and write an if function. So is equal to if. So what's the logical test, right? If this is greater than 0, then multiply this particular cell, like this is the cell B13, with the tax rate. And if it's not greater than 0, that means it's a loss, right? If it's a loss, then give me answer as 0. And you can close the bracket. And if you see, you get this answer as 21,000. And you can multiply this formula by -1 as well, because we have to keep all expenses as negative. So just multiply this by -1. Now, if you see, pre-tax income is 71,000. I paid a tax of 20,000. 49,000 is my takeaway income. And like, let's say if this cost of goods sold goes crazy, now if you see, if there is a loss, then I have to pay 0 rupees income tax. So this is now a correct formula which will work in all possible business scenarios. So that is how you should think while building a financial model in Excel. Will my formula work in all possible business scenarios? If the answer is yes, then that's a correct formula. That's the right approach to build a financial model. If the answer is no, then that's an incomplete formula. So the formula which we have written earlier, which was B13 into the tax rate, was correct, but it was not, possible to give that particular answer in all possible business solution. So this is how you would be doing with an if function. I'll just type this formula here so you guys can have a look. Another approach to solve this question would be by using a max formula. So what would be the max formula? This would be this multiplied by this particular number or 0. So if you see, you can do it by using a max formula. So let me just reduce it to where it was earlier. So see, now max formula is also giving me a correct answer. So it is choosing me a maximum of 0 or the product of these two numbers. So this is more of a mathematical approach while working on Excel. So see, I solved this formula by if function. I solved this formula by max function as well, right? So you can have multiple solutions for solving the problem. Both the solutions are highlighted in blue color and they are right in front of your screen. So you can have both the approaches. So what you should do as a learner is that if you can do it by if, you should challenge yourself. Is there any other function which can help me solve this answer? And there is a max function for you. So you can use the max function as well. So let me know if you guys are clear with this case study. So on a scale of 1 to 5, you can rate the understanding of your case study. Maybe 1 or 2 if you haven't understood that well. Maybe 4 or 5 if you have understood it extremely well. So I'll wait for your comments in the chat box. Like 1, 2 if you have understood well, not understood well, and 4, 5 if you have understood it very clearly what we are trying to do. And more than Excel, try to understand the business logic, the approach while we are learning. Nikita is saying 5, Naman is saying 5. That's great. I'll wait for a few more responses. And feel free to put 1, 2 in the chat box as well. It's not a mandatory requirement that we should have understood everything. Sometimes it takes time, you know, for us to understand a lot of things. So it's perfectly fine. But if you have any specific questions, you can unmute and speak so that, you know, I can help you out. Shreya, it's not necessary to repeat the max function. The solution workbook will be shared with you. So what you have to do is you have to go home. You have to type is equal to max, press Control A. You will have this help on this function. Go to the Microsoft page, understand the logic, try to think upon it, and then ask me a specific question as to, you know, why max function is working in that particular way. So what max function does is that it gives you a maximum number when you input 2, 3 numbers. So like let's say I put max of 10 and 20. So the output would be 20. So that's what the max logic does. So try to think on it and then ask me a specific question. And so I'll be able to help you out. That's the approach you should have by learning, so that you know you are a self-starter and you learn on your own.
Hello.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes. So it's Aditi here. The main problem that I have with Excel is, while I remember all the functions, I do not really remember the shortcut keys, like the last shortcut key that I may have learned. Is there some manner in which you remember the same? Or
yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. So the only way to know or remember things is, you know, by practicing them regularly. So all you have to do is keep on practicing them regularly, and you would eventually know those things. There is no skill, and maybe what you can do is you can start making your notes. You know, you can have like 1-pager notes where you mention 5 formulas, then you can keep them revising. You know, like let's say you came from lunch, you can quickly have a look at it and revise them. But the best way or best approach would be to spend more time on Excel. The more time you spend, the more, like, you know, faster you become. That's the best approach.
Okay, thank you.
So when we are entering numbers, for example, a number like 56,025, and in front of that, in one of the Excel workshops, I understood as to how to include 05602. That is, we can't include 056,025. So there was some method which that person was suggesting, and I actually applied it also, but I forgot it. Can you just repeat that? That is prefixing 0 to a number.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
Yeah. So we can take this question for the Q&A. Like, I understand your question, so you can do it with the help of text function. Like that's one way to do it. Like, you will have a format text and you can do it, or you can go to custom format, and in the custom formatting, you know, you can also do it. So these are the two approaches. We will park that question in Q&A because that's not very relevant to what we are discussing now. That's the question. Cool. So I think everyone is clear with the logic. Shreya and Ganesh, you have to think on how the max function is working and then come back to me with a specific question as to, you know, why it is working and why not. The reason I'm not giving you a straightforward answers is that I don't want to give. I can give questions. I can give a lot of questions, case studies. But if we build the correct approach, you know, to learn a particular thing, that would be a better understanding than, you know, those things. So apologies for, you know, not taking few questions or not giving a direct answer, but that how, you know, sometimes as a trainer, I have to take a hard choice and, you know, not spoon feed everything. So now let's come to another interesting question, which is called as challenges. So come to the challenges tab. Okay. And let's try and, you know, doing a small challenge. So I'll do something, you know, which is very basic in Excel, which is, you know, find and replace dialog box. So if you go here, like, you have a find and replace. If you just click on this dialog box and click on find, so, you know, you would get this find and replace dialog box. So just go here, click on find, you would get a find and replace dialog box. Or what you can do is that you can press Control and F key. So I'll just type it out here, Control plus F key. What it helps is that it helps you, you know, find a particular, like, let's say you have lots and lots of data in your Excel and you want to find a particular information. So you can just type it here, like, you know, let's say find Chinmaya. So, you know, you start highlighting all the areas where Chinmaya is mentioned. So that's the use of find and replace dialog box. Now let's do one interesting thing. Let's press Control F and now let's type, you know, 5 here. And let's try to find 5 number, you know, in this worksheet. That's a challenge. Okay, I might have missed that. So let's do one thing. So type 5 and, you know, click on find all. So what Excel is doing, it is showing a 5 in this particular cell, which is like, J23. But my question to all of you guys is that I can see a 5 right in front of my screen, but still Excel is not able to give me that as an output for, finding 5. So I press, I do a find all. Excel is just highlighting one scenario, which is like cell J23. But why Excel is not showing me the cell A4 as the output? Can anyone tell me why it is happening? I mean, 5 is there in front of our eyes, right? So this number 5 is there in front of our eyes. But when I do a control F and I do a 5, Excel is not showing me that as a solution. Can anyone tell me why? Or have you understood the number? Or if you have understood the problem, just type yes or no in the chat box. And then you can always give me a solution as to why it's happening. Have you understood the problem? But like 5 आंखों के सामने दिख रहा है, but still Excel is showing that 5 is not there. Is it Excel is there is some error, or is there some bug in the Excel? Nikita, can you elaborate as to what do you mean by it is a variable? Anusha and Kaushik. Okay, that's a correct answer. Cool. So see, understand. So these are the small things you should be aware and you should be curious while working on Excel. Now let's understand. Yeah, correct. Aishwarya, you are also correct. So see, for our eyes it is 5. Like for normal human eye it is 5. But for Excel it's not 5. For Excel it is A2 plus A3, right? So Excel sees it as A2 plus A3. Our eye, it sees at 5, and therefore Excel is not able to find that solution. And how would you understand those things, right? Now you'd say, "Ye hum log ko kaun batayega?" You don't have to worry on it, right? If you just go and you press a Control F, find and replace dialog box, and if you click on options here, right? If you click on options here, you would have something, a lot of options like within, search, and look in. Now if you just go and experiment, can I do look in values? Just do look in values and then do a find all. Now if you see, Excel is showing that answer as as the formula. So now what Excel is doing, it is not looking for A3 plus A5 formulas, it is looking for the values. So when you do look in values, it will show you find all. You do it, it will show you as the output. So these are the things you should be curious about while working on Excel. You do a Control F, just don't end it here, like F karke like we ended it. Click on these options, go to the values, and try and understand why things are there. What do you mean by formulas? What do you mean by values? What do you mean by notes? What do you mean by comments? Try understanding those questions, and then you will have those answers. So put values, find all. Now Excel will look for 5 as an output. Like it will not look for formulas, it will look for those numbers. So that's the entire context of this case study. If you have understood, and again, like you have a question mark here. So why that question mark is not being clicked by me? If you click on this question mark, what happens is that you go to again find and replace support.microsoft, and you have all the answers to your questions here, right? So that's the thing you should be that is how you should be exploring or learning things. Yeah, Rakesh, you're correct. So in J23 we have 5 as the main, and therefore it is showing 5 as the answer. So that's correct, Rakesh, that's correct. Is everyone comfortable with this challenge of find and replace, whatever we did? Like, did you understand what is a formula, what is a value? Were you able to, gain insights out of it? If yes, then put 1 on the chat box, or, yes in the chat box. If no, then put no in the chat box, so that we can accordingly decide whether to go ahead or not. Cool. That's a good thing. Now let's come to something called as I would request everyone to come to a session called a sheet called as PQ and stock history. How would you?
क्या बात है? कर लोगी ना, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी हम आधा घंटा वेस्ट कर चुके हैं इसमें. More than less than समझने में. Sorry.
Yeah, no issues, Ishita. It happens sometimes. So come to PQ.
I actually really sorry. I was talking to some other person in the room.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, so it's fine. So come to PQ and stock history, tab. And what I would request everyone is that in the stock history section, what you have to do is just go to this tab and यहाँ पे जो double quotes डाला है वो हटा दो. Just remove those double quotes, and you would get BZ as the answer, and then you would get the values in this chat. So what you have to do is just go to this stock history cell and remove this जो double quotes है वो हटा दो, and just click on enter, and you would get this output as your answer. If you are getting this output as your answer, just let me know in the chat box. If you are getting an error, so just let me know that in the chat box, so I would understand which version of Excel you are using. So are you able to get stock history ka answer, and then I'll explain what is stock history about. So let me know. Even Ganesh is getting an error. You are using an older version of Excel. Let's wait for the people. Kritika is getting an error. Quickly guys, I want around 20 responses. Shivangi is showing it is blocked. Okay. Error, correct, blocked. Okay. Cool. So you guys don't have an updated version of Excel, which is fine. Don't worry. So I'll just quickly explain you what is stock history function in Excel. So don't take stress. This is the case study which you won't be able to practice hands-on, but you should be knowing what is stock history in Excel. So whenever you get an error, it is just because in this context, because you don't have that particular function, so Excel is not able to understand what you have typed, and therefore it is showing a name error. So there is a function called as stock history in Excel is equal to stock history. So again, see how to understand the function, press Ctrl A, and now it shows you the function dialog box. So what it is showing us, four things. This is stock, this is start date, this is end date, this is interval, and this is header. So these are some functionalities. And what the stock history function does is that it gives you the data of all the stocks listed in India or US or any other stock exchange. It gives you the live share prices on a daily basis or a monthly basis, whatever you want. Now if you see, I have typed here Nifty, right? Nifty. Now let's take me an example of start date as 2nd September, and let's say what's the today's date. So today's date is I think 12th February. So I am pressing Ctrl and semicolon. So that is the way of putting the live date or current date in Excel. Ctrl and semicolon. Now if you see, it's showing as me busy, and then it is giving me as the solution of what's the or let me just do it as monthly. So don't worry on these things. You're not able to understand what's exactly happening here. So just understand there is a stock history function in Excel, and it gives you the data of share prices within Excel. So you don't need Bloomberg, you don't need to copy from money control or anything. If you see, I'm getting the daily prices of Nifty. So can anyone confirm if 7th Feb Ko Nifty is trading around 17,000? If anyone is tracking the markets, do let me know if 17,000 is the correct value of markets or not. If anyone is tracking the markets. Can anyone give me any other dream company which you want to work, or which comes on your campus and is listed? Any company which comes on your campus and is listed. I just want to show you how you can get share prices in Excel. You don't have to try it on your own. You just have to observe my screen and understand. Come on guys, I want at least 4 or 5 companies, which are your dream companies where you want to go and work, and which are also listed. Listed companies only have share prices. Private companies don't have share prices on stock exchange. Put it in the chat box, any company. MRF, okay, we got an answer. So let's try putting MRF. I don't remember the ticker for MRF, but let's see if we get. So see, MRF ka share price we got, Shivam. So you can get the share price of MRF. So it is currently trading at around 68,000. Someone has put Infosys. So I think Infi hoga uska code. Yeah, so Infi dala to, but this is in dollars. So because it is listed in India as well, US as well, uska ADR hai. That's why let's try TCS. TCS का भी शायद $8 में price आ रहा है. So like MRF is a good example because it's just listed in India. So it will show you prices in rupees. So this is how you can get stock prices in Excel. You don't need money control or anything. But for that, you need to have an Office 365 subscription, like a paid license. So you can go and apply for student license as well. It costs you around 100 rupees a day. Like 100 rupees a month. Like if you buy from a student license, it will cost you 100 rupees a month. But you can do all this interesting analysis or insights, by using these interesting functions. If it shows you a blocked or an error, then you are on the older version of Excel. Cool. So that is one thing which I wanted to showcase to you guys. So this is a stock history function in Excel. So do you like stock history function in Excel? Let me know yes, no, or you find it's not that helpful. Silence means you don't find it helpful. Okay. Divyam is saying it's interesting. Okay. That's good to know. That's good to know. Cool. Now what I would request everyone is, is to come to this first tab. So come to pivot and data tab. Come to pivot and data tab. And yeah, correct, Rakesh. So you can build a chart out of it. I'll teach you or show you how to build a chart. So don't worry on that. I would request everyone to come to the pivot and data tab. I'll just quickly introduce you to the data set. So these are some random names of people. These are their email IDs and these are their designations, like, director, associate, standard, corporate designations. And you have to do two things, which I have already written here. Extrapolate emails with the logic for all employees. So ये जो 3 emails, Hooli is a fictional company. Anyone Silicon Valley fan in the audience, buzz it with Silicon Valley in the comment section. So I would know. So in case you haven't watched Silicon Valley, so I would request everyone to watch Silicon Valley. So it's a show which comes on HBO. It's like an old show, like the finale has happened. So it's a very interesting show. So it's about a company which starts with an algorithm. They name it as Pied Piper, and then it's from a startup to the company getting $1 billion valuation. The entire journey is shown, and it's like a sitcom, so you will laugh a lot. So in case you haven't watched, do watch Silicon Valley. I'm one of the biggest fan of Silicon Valley. To me, it's my favorite show. So Hooli is a fictional company mentioned in that particular show. So what you have to do, two things here. You have to replicate the email IDs for all the employees. One way would be to type it out, like, just type it out manually. Like, the logic, name.surname@hooli.com. And second thing you have to do is you have to come up and tell me two things. How many analysts are there in the team? How many managers are there in the team? So because this data doesn't help you, right? If you go on counting analysts, तो आपको manually count करना पड़ेगा. 1, then 2, 3, 4 ऐसे count करना पड़ेगा. तो you want to give me कि कितने analysts है team में, कितने associates है team में, count designation wise. So what would be your approach? I want everyone to unmute and give me their approaches. How would you solve this problem? Or you can put it in the chat box as well. And if you have understood the question, just mention yes in the chat box. If you have understood the question, just mention yes in the chat box. And if you have solution to this problem, just unmute and speak your solution. Or maybe, you can put whatever solution you are going to use in the chat box as well. Feel free to, experiment and put your solutions, whatever you would be doing, put it in the chat box. Don't feel shy or hesitant to do it. Unmute and speak. Someone just mentioned that he would be using a pivot table. So you can, unmute and speak, like, why do you want to use pivot table? What is your thinking? If someone else has, another formula, then you can do it. Ashish is saying, Ashish, I like your approach. Like you are quite inquisitive in your approach. But like, let's say Ashish, आप analyst करोगे, Control-C, Control-F, find analyst, find all कर दोगे, you get the answer. But then आपको 3 cells found, that would be something which would be there. Why it is showing this 3 cell found? Okay, formulas find all. Analyst का team में. There are 3 analysts. That's correct approach, Ashish. I like your approach, but then आपको manually सब करना पड़ेगा, right? You will have to do it manually one by one for all the designations. And also आपको क्या बता, आपने miss कर दिया intern को search करना, तो how would you do it? So not a very great way to do it, but I like your approach in terms of thinking or thought process. What else? Come on guys, speak up and let me know your solutions. How would you solve this? Even if it's very easy for you, just present your solutions. You would learn the art of presenting the solution as well. So I want a couple of responses. Unless someone unmutes and speak, I won't go ahead. So I would pause here and wait for a few responses from the audience. Ganesh, you are saying countif, but how would you get the unique list of designations? That's the first challenge, right?
Sir, we could apply the filter function.
Filter function, okay, but you won't get a unique list of designations by using a filter function. So see, understand कि मुझको कौन कौन है फॉर्म में वो तो पता चलना चाहिए, मतलब associate है कौन है, लेकिन I want to have that list of exhaustive designations. So filter won't work, because आप like let's say if you are using the normal traditional filter, तो वो आपको Control Shift L and यहाँ पे एक ढूंढना पड़ेगा. So that's not the right approach. Anyone else? Any solution? Filter से काम नहीं होगा इसमें. Ganesh, you are right. Shubham, you are also right. But then again, Shubham, my question is कि आप वो बार-बार analyst change करोगे associate, तो बार-बार आपको change करना पड़ेगा for formula. So you want to get a unique list of designations. That's, see, let's forget Excel for a moment. What I'm interested in कि मेरे फॉर्म में है कौन, वो तो पहले पता चले कि एसोसिएट है, इंटर्न है, कि कौन से डेजिग्नेशन है, like what's the exhaustive list of those designations. I want to understand that first. So how would you get it?
So we can use the pivot table and then we can filter, drop the designation column in the rows and then do a sum in the values column we will drop the designation as well. So we will get the count of everything. Sure.
Shubham, are you a student or you're working professional?
I'm student, sir.
Okay, and still you know pivot. That's interesting. Vishal, what about you? Are you a student or a working professional?
Working, sir. Focus.
Okay. That's how you know. So okay, let's do it with pivot tables and both the formulas as well. So see, there is something called as remove duplicates in Excel. Okay, so let's just focus on my screen and let's understand remove duplicates. So आपको क्या करना है? Just first stage is to select this entire data set. So just go down and just select this entire data set. Then do the things which we are all expert at, which is copy pasting. तो ये data कहाँ पे भी copy paste कर दूँ. Let me paste it here. Okay, and once you paste it, just let the selection be intact. Go to the data tab. Data tab में यहाँ पे जाओगे आप, यहाँ पे दिखेगा आपको remove duplicates. तो click on remove duplicates and click on OK. So all, see, 41 duplicates removed, 9 unique values remaining, and click on OK. Now you have these 9 unique values. So let me show it to you again. Select the entire designations, Control C, Control V, then go here, remove duplicates, and click on OK. And you have removed those 9 duplicates. This is one answer. Another approach to the same problem would be to use the unique formula. So just type is equal to unique. Just select the entire array and just click on enter. So you can do it with the help of unique formula. It's very simple. So just type is equal to unique and click on the entire solution and you would get the answers. So let me know if you are able to get the answer. If you are able to get the answers with the help of remove duplicate, just one of them, so just type 1. If you are able to get the answers with both of them, then type 2. And if you are not at all able to get the answer, then type 0. So एक solution आ रहा है remove duplicates का 1, unique plus remove duplicates दोनों आ रहा है तो 2. Otherwise you can just type 0 in the chat box. Rakesh is just showing me as 1. You can try it with unique formula as well or remove duplicates as well. Like I would expect a lot of 2s in the chat box if you're using the latest version of Excel, if you have the unique function. So try it with both the solutions. Okay, can anyone tell Yash how to remove? Can anyone in the audience tell Yash how to remove the duplicates? Like just unmute and speak for Yash. You can help your friends. I'm waiting for a lot of responses. I think we have close to 40 participants in the audience, so I would at least expect around 10 responses. Try it with unique, try it with remove duplicates both. So in case someone has missed it, I'll quickly show it to you. So Control C, Control V here. Then once you do a Control V, then go to the data tab, click on remove duplicates and do a remove duplicates and click on OK. That's how you do it, Yash. Another approach would be to use a unique formula. So you can use unique and just select the entire data set. 2 solutions. So I can see Nikita is putting 2, Naman 2, Mahesh 2. That's great. That's great. Yeah, guys, do try it out on your own. In case anyone has any specific questions, please unmute and speak. Then I'll move to the another logic, which is the COUNTIF formula. Kaushik is 2, Rakesh is 2. That's great. That's great. So for all those who are able to do it with the two solutions, now finding the difference between the two. So see, if you see here, there is no blue line here, right? But if you see a blue line here, there is a blue line around the answers, right? So this is called as dynamic arrays. This is called as a dynamic array, and this is the latest version of Excel. This is the new concept in Excel which has been introduced in 2020. So that is the concept of dynamic arrays. The latest version of Excel is Office 365. Yeah. So that's the latest version of Excel. Yeah, I'm just getting a yeah, cool. Vishal, latest version is Office 365. So you should be on Office 365. Cool. So I think everyone is able to get the unique list of designations. Now let's understand the function of COUNTIF. So type is equal to COUNTIF. Type is equal to COUNTIF. Now what you have to do is select a range. See, first thing is कि range select करना है, मतलब कहाँ पे count करना है, right? You have to count somewhere, right? कि कहाँ पे count करना है, तो you have to give them a range. So what is your range? This is your range. So give this Excel a range, right? And then what you have to do, criteria mein you have to select wo designation. So see, select associate and press enter. Now see, there are 13 associates in the team. This is what Excel is trying to tell you, right? I'll just explain it to you again. So type is equal to COUNTIF. First, you have to select the range. So this is the range. So you can just drag the session. This is the range. And what is the criteria? Criteria is the associate. So select G13 as the associate. Boom, this is the answer. And what you have to do is Control C and Control V the solution down. And there is some mistake in this coming solution. So let me know what is the mistake which I'm making. But if you're able to get associate 13 as the answer, just type 1 in the chat box and then tell me what is the mistake which I've made in the formula. If you are getting associate 13 as the answer, let me just type yes in the chat box. And in case there is a mistake in my formula, what is the mistake which I have done? Let me know that. Okay, Ganesh, Rakesh, are you a student? Rakesh, I know Ganesh. Ganesh is a working professional. Rakesh, are you a student or a working professional?
The third year student.
Okay, and where did you learn Excel? Like, because you happen to know a lot of stuff though.
The YouTube and just joining sessions and all.
Okay, that's a very good approach. You're proactive. That's so if I see myself as a third year student, you're way ahead of me. So that's wonderful. Kaushik is also saying as a cell reference. Kaushik, are you student, working professional? Kaushik doesn't like to answer the questions, it seems, but I would like to know whether you're a student or a working professional. So what you have to do, guys, you have to fix a range. So see, understand, जब आप formula copy paste करते हो, now don't get into too many complexities if you're using Excel for the first time. But let's just understand when you copy, see why Excel is built in that way. Like try to understand the approach. See, your answer as an associate, right? So what we could have done is that we could have hard coded the word associate here, right? And then I can type associate here as an solution and get the answer. But then again, I'll have to type it again and again. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to type this formula again and again. COUNTIF. This is the range. This is the criteria. So ये formula मुझको I'll have to type it 10-15 times. No issues. You're a student. That's good to know. And mic issues मेरे सामने नहीं चलेगी. You can log in from mobile and speak up. So I am not a typical university teacher, who would buy this solution. So I would expect you to log in through your mobile and then, answer the question. So I'm a very strict teacher on a very lighter note, but I understand if you have some mic issues, no problem. So, so this is the problem which you'll have to do it. You'll have to apply the countif formula 13 times, which is not the right way. So therefore, हम लोग क्या जुगाड़ कर रहे हैं? हम लोग copy paste कर रहे हैं. But when we are doing a copy paste, so see this thing is working, right? I mean, Control Z. So copy paste kar rahe, so that is not a challenge. But the problem is the range is not getting fixed. That's the challenge. So what we have to do is we have to fix the range in Excel. So how you have to fix the range in Excel is by adding a dollar sign. So what you have to do is now, if you don't know the answers or if you don't know what is dollar sign, don't take stress. What you have to do is you have to again do your homework. Is you have to understand cell referencing, absolute and relative cell referencing. So I'll just type it out for you here. You can note it down in a piece of paper or anything. Relative referencing and absolute referencing. Bear with me spelling. I'm not that good at spelling or anything. I usually make a lot of mistakes in spellings. So relative referencing, absolute referencing, dollar sign. You have to learn all these things. So these are the things which you should be learning. What I would suggest is ki Rakesh is one student, Kaushik is another student. So you guys can take a session for your in-house students where you can do a 30-minute session where you explain, cell referencing. You can build your own examples. See, देखो examples खुद से बनाने के start कर दो habit, Now this is another case where you'll have to use cell referencing. This is, I have built it on my own. Like there is no need. Like let's say you want to build tables in Excel, right? 2 ka table, 1 ka table, 10 ka table. You can use the concept of dollar signs, referencing signs there. So create your own examples, think, and then take a session, explain your college friends. So friends को सीखने मिल गया, आपको teaching का experience मिल गया. It's a win-win situation, right? So you are also learning to present. Students are like your friends are learning to learn. So this is how you should start doing all these activities. It's not possible that always you will have a guest speaker. So go on YouTube, study your topic, send a 30-minute meeting invites and learn among yourself. So create a WhatsApp group of 20 people and start learning new topics. Every Saturday, 2 topics आपने सीखने चाहिए. So that should be approach while learning Excel. Cool. So what you have to do is just before C7 and you have to enter a dollar sign. So what you have to do, C के पहले dollar डालो, 7 के पहले dollar डालो, again C के पहले dollar डालो and 56 के पहले dollar डालो. Okay. So just do it. Just add a dollar everywhere. Just copy this formula and paste it. Now you get the answer. So now there are 10 managers in the team. How many managers are there in the team. So that is how you do it. So I'll just paste this formula in the chat box. If someone is not able to follow, yeah, you can use F4 also, Kaushik. I just didn't want to confuse a lot of students. So therefore I didn't mention F4, but yeah, again, a good key point. So you can add those dollars by using F4 cell referencing as well. So let me know if you're able to get this answer, if you're able to get, like, let's say there are 2 directors in the team or there are 9 vice presidents in the team. So if you're able to get this output as the solution, just type yes in the chat box. If you're stuck somewhere, just let me know. Let me know, guys. Rakesh is saying yes, that's good. Kaushik is saying yes, that's good. Naman is saying yes, that's good. Come on, guys. I want at least 5 yeses so that we can move ahead and finish this session on a higher note with a lot of other interesting case studies as well. And if there is a challenge, then what's the challenge? You have to mention that as well in the chat box. And in case, if I'm going very slow and if you're not able to follow, you can start solving other case studies as well in the chat box. In the workbook, you can start solving other case studies as well so that, you can make best use of your 2 hours in case, I'm going slow and someone it is finding too slow. Cool. Now let's try to do it with the help of, dynamic arrays as well, like with the unique formula here. So let's try to understand countif function here. So that's the beauty of using the concept of dynamic arrays is that type a countif. Select the entire range and then select this cell associate and then just press an hash symbol. Just press the pound symbol which is called in UK or the hash symbol which is used on Twitter and click on OK. And if you see, you did not do dollar signs or any cell referencing or anything. So this is the new Excel, which is called as the dynamic arrays. So you can use this formula if you are on the newer version of Excel. This won't work for everything. So I'm putting this and I'm putting it. It is only for those who have updated Excel, who have new updated Excel. Oh, let me know if you're able to get this answer with the help of dynamic arrays, you know, by using the hash symbol as well. If you're able to do that, let me know in the chat box.
Hey Chinmay.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Yash Mittal. I just wanted to know, like, why do we need to put the dollar signs in the first place? Like, I didn't understand the concept behind it.
Okay, cool. That's a good question.
As in, like, I understood, like.
I'll tell you why. You have to put a dollar sign. So see, understand, you put a answer in the cell H13, right? You put this formula, right? Now what happens is that you have another option to type this formula 10 times. You know, count if this is the range, this is the criteria, this is the range, this is the criteria. Right? That's one answer you can do. But what you can do is you can copy paste the formula as well, which is more faster. Now when you copy paste, what happens is that the range gets, you know, the range, if you haven't fixed a dollar sign, here, what happens is that the range keeps on shifting. So if you see, for this formula, the range is starting from this cell. For this formula, the range is starting from this cell, right? For this particular formula, range is starting from this cell, which is not the right solution, right? So that's why you need to fix the dollar referencing. And if you haven't understood, what you have to do is just go and Google on this topic, relative referencing, absolute referencing, and you would get some more clarity. And another approach would be you can reach out to Kaushik and Rakesh, and they would also help you with the solution. So in the interest of time, this is what, you know, the best solution I can give it to you. Cool. Is everyone comfortable with the new approach? Did anyone get the answer by using the new approach like COUNTIF and K313 hash? Did anyone get this answer with the help of new? Naman is saying yes. Anyone else? Kaushik is also getting this. That's good. Divyam is getting this. That's the new Excel case. So that's the concept of dynamic arrays. Cool. And yes, I really liked your question. Like, you should be inquisitive and you should challenge, like, you know, whatever is being taught to you, just don't take it on face value. Question everything. That's how, you know, we learn things in a better way. So that's also important. Now let's end the session, you know, like with an interesting case study. It's a challenge for all of you guys, and like, it's a very relatable case study which you must have faced across. So I would request everyone to come to the challenges section. So come to challenges section. And in the challenges section, I'll just explain you what's the business problem out here. The business problem is that we have few friends who have went out for a hotel, and this is the total bill, right? So this is the total bill. Now what we have to do is we have to understand the per head kitna aa raha hai. You know, kiska per head kitna aa raha hai. So we have to find the per head contribution. So per head contribution to the hotel bill. Per head contra kitna hai, right? So this is what we have to understand. Like, so how will we calculate, you know, the per head contribution? Now let's take the first group of people. So Chinmay, Priya, Rupa, Yash, these four guys went out for a dinner or, like, you know, hotel. So like, let's divide the total bill by 4, right? So this is the per head contribution, 328 rupees. Now in this case, only 3 people went, you know, Priya, Anjali and Ekta. So 1376 divided by 3. So this is the per head contribution. In this case, again, I have to divide it by 4. In this case, again, I have to divide it by 3. In this case, I have to divide it by 5 because Tanya, Shivani, Mukul, Sanjay, Chinmay, 5 people went, right? So dividing it by 5. Now the problem is, if I keep on doing it manually, it will take me a lot of time. So how can I automate this stuff, right? So see, understand, like, what we have to automate is that we have to automate the number of people in a group, right? So that we can automate this 4, because formula में देखो ये B13 ये तो drag and drop करने से हो जाएगा, right? You know, if we drag this down, formula तो change होते रहेगा, but everywhere it's dividing by 4. So what we have to do is we have to understand how we can automate this 4, and this 4 is not going to be consistent. It is different for the different people. कहाँ पे 3 लोग हैं, कहाँ पे 5 लोग हैं, कहाँ पे 4 लोग हैं. So can anyone tell me how would you solve this problem? Any thoughts? Or if you have understood the problem, just put yes in the chat box. And if you have any solution, unmute and speak for yourself. How would you solve this problem? If you have understood the problem, please put yes in the chat box. This is the last case study. This case study does not require any Excel knowledge. It just requires a jugadu mind and a basic logical thinking. And if anyone has any solution, let me know. Yeah. Okay, Ganesh has given us an answer. Okay. That's another approach which you can do, Naman and Ganesh. That's a good approach. You can do it. But there are few other interesting approaches as well which you can follow. Anyone else? If you haven't understood the case study or if you haven't understood the problem, then speak up and let me know, because I don't want someone to be 5 minutes down the case study and haven't understood the case study. So if you haven't understood or if you want me to repeat again, just let me know that I'll repeat it again. But I want to be with very clear as to what we are trying to do. Like we are trying to calculate the per head contribution and we are trying to automate it. So if you haven't understood, just let me know in the chat box. I'll repeat it. And in case you can think of some innovative solution, you can think of another innovative solution as well. If anyone hasn't understood the case study, this is the time to speak up. Cool. Gitish, are you a working professional or a student?
Sir, I'm a student.
Okay, that's good. So can you tell me how would you calculate the number of commas? I mean, your solution is bang on, like you have given a correct answer. But now the next question is how to calculate the number of commas.
Sir, वो तो आप बताओगे ना.
No, but like you can think of, right? I just taught you a few functions, so you can think of some answers, right? Let's try it by using the COUNTIF function. So COUNTIF function se hota hai kya? Let's try it. So let me just do a COUNTIF. COUNTIF, this is the range, and what's the criteria? Criteria is a comma. So in double quotes, I'm putting a comma. COUNTIF function doesn't work when you have to count things inside a cell. So inside a cell, COUNTIF function doesn't work. So COUNTIF function doesn't work inside a cell, so we cannot use a COUNTIF. COUNTIF function works when the data is across the cells. Within the cell kuch count hoga, so it won't count how many is there. Like let's say यहाँ पे comma है, यहाँ पे comma है, and I use a COUNTIF function. This is the range and this is the criteria. So see, it is giving me 2 commas as the answer, but within the cell COUNTIF function doesn't work. So how would you solve this case study? Anyone else has any thoughts? Shreya, you can speak up. I have not understood what you have put it on the chat box. You can speak up. And who was that person? Yeah, Gitish, you don't need any Excel knowledge for solving this case study. If you have a jugadu mind, whatever I have taught you, you can use that and you can get the solution. So you don't need to know any complex Excel formula today to solve this case study. Shreya, you can speak up. I haven't understood what you have put on the chat box. Dhairya, you are correct. It would be from the number of commas, but the next question would be what would be the number of commas? How we can count that?
If we split the friends in different rows and then do is equal to total bill divided by is equal to count A and then the friends.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So what you can do is you can do a control C, control V here, and then you can do a count A function. So let's say I am doing a text to column. So this I have already taught you, right? Text to columns, next, comma, next, finish, right? So you get it. And what you can do is you can do a count function, like count A karke ek function hota hai, which counts the number of cells. So you can just do it for a very large period, and you can just contribute. Now ki kitne batch mein kitne bacche hai. Like this is another good approach, which is perfectly fine. But there is another solution to this problem which you can do, and just let me start. You can start doing it with me one by one. Okay, so there is a function called as length function in Excel. LEN, length function in Excel. So LEN function in Excel. If you remember, I had given you the homework. Now let me just go to the cleaning the data tab, and there is a length function in Excel, right? So what length function does is that it calculates the number of commas in Excel. Okay, sorry, it calculates the number of text strings in Excel, not commas, text string in Excel. So let me just go to challenges. So like, can anyone, just tell me 4 names, like, just speak up, just type any random 4 names in the chat box. Anything, like, any 4 names. Or let me just take, the recent one, Shreya. Then we have Dhairya. Then let's take Gitish. You can also type it out here, and then what you have to do is just type a length function and just refer it here, and just drag the formula down. Oh, Gitish and Dhairya ka same ho gaya. Let's try to take Yash. So see what it is doing, it is counting the number of cells, number of text strings, number of letters in a particular cell. So let me know if you guys are comfortable with the length function. So we can go ahead. If you guys are comfortable with the length function, just type yes in the chat box. Just type any random name, maybe you can type your name, maybe someone else's name, someone's name, and you can just, experiment. So I think everyone is comfortable with the length function. It's a very easy function. Cool. Now let's try, solving this case study with a different approach. So what I would be doing is that I'm copy pasting this solution here in the column F. Okay. So just step 1, you can do it with me. Just copy this and F में आके paste कर दो यहाँ पे. Okay. So just copy this and paste it here. Okay, cool. Now what we have to do is just select this entire area. Just select this entire area. Go and press, Control H. So you will have a find and replace dialog box. So I'll repeat it again. Control C, Control V. Okay, and then press Control and H. Control and H. H for helicopter. So Control plus H. You can press that and you will get a find and replace dialog box. In case someone is not familiar with keyboard shortcuts, you can go here and you can type for replace here. Okay. Now find what? See, it is asking us कि क्या ढूंढना है and किसके साथ replace करना है. So see, we have to find comma and replace it with nothing. Just keep it blank. So see, यहाँ पे just एक simple comma आएगा and यहाँ पे replace with में कुछ नहीं आएगा. See, this is basic control find and replace जो हम लोग करते हैं, Word में, PPT में, like all other places. So just find what? Find comma and replace it with nothing. And you can do replace all. All done. We have made 19 replacements. If you get this dialog box as your answer, click on OK. I'll repeat it again for everyone's benefit. Control C, Control V. Press Control H. Find what? Plain simple comma. And replace with में कुछ नहीं. Just keep it blank. Press backspace key a couple of times and just keep it blank. And do a replace all and do all done. We have made 19 replacements. OK. And then close this. If you are able to get 19 replacements as your answer, then just put yes in the chat box. If you are getting an output which is similar to mine, and if you get 19 replacements made, then just put yes in the chat box. And if you are stuck somewhere, just let me know in the chat box. Aditi is saying yes, Anusha is saying yes, Ishita is saying yes. Cool. That's great. That's great. Now let's do one thing. Let's apply length function on the two different databases, right? Now let's apply length function on these two numbers. So L is equal to len len. Apply length. So length 1, L1 का column डाल दो. यहाँ पे L1 डाल दो और यहाँ पे L2 डाल दो. And just try and apply the length का logic here. Length function in the cell A13. Drag it down and length function for this particular cell जो column F में है and drag it down. And then maybe you can just select it and do a center alignment. So just go here and press a center alignment and let me know if you are able to get this yellow screen as your output. If you are able to get this output, just put yes in the chat box. कुछ नहीं करना है, length function लगाना है बस on A13 and F13. Are you guys able to get the length? I want at least 15 yes for the length function so that we can go ahead. Good. Kaushik is saying yes. Nikita is saying yes. Aditi is saying yes. I want minimum 10 yes to go ahead. Ganesh is saying yes. Gia is saying yes. Good. Rakesh is done. Tripathi Aditya is done. Randhir is saying yes. Navya is saying yes. That's good. Now, can anyone tell me the solution of how to get the number of commas? If you see the data and if you are observant, can anyone tell me how would you get the number of commas ka data? Like let's say we want the number of commas ka data in column H here. Can anyone tell me how would you get the answer? Like it's now very clear in front of your eyes. Kaushik, unmute. अच्छा, आपका mic का issue है. Ankita, can you unmute and speak?
I think, am I audible?
L1 minus L2.
Correct. So L1 minus L2. Okay. L1 minus L2. Okay. Anyone else? I mean, Ankita, you're almost correct. Just one small mistake, or just one small correction you have to do. See, we are interested in number of, not in number of commas. We are interested in number of people in the group, right? So number of commas is just one starting point. So your answer is correct.
+1.
Yeah, correct. So +1, right? So press enter and +1, and then what you have to do is you have to drag this formula down. There are 4 people. Acha, +1. Acha, +1 and then enter. So you got 4, and then just copy this formula and paste it down. Everyone comfortable with this logic, whatever we did in column H? If anyone is not comfortable, just ask me to repeat in the chat box and I'll repeat it. Samiksha, would you like to explain what we did? Like, what is your understanding of what we did? Sorry, I'm picking up on you, but I see you are quite active in the chat box. So would you like to explain like what we just did now, the logic behind it? Or maybe Shreya can explain or Rakesh can explain. Someone just see, because people are shy to put it in the chat box in case there is some gap. So if you explain, that will help them understand the concept better. Or even Navya, you can explain. Yeah.
So may
I? Yeah, Rakesh, you can go ahead. No issues.
So, sir, first what we did was find the length of all the characters without comma that we got in L2. So now to get the number of persons, we are just subtracting L1 minus L2. We get the number of commas and we are adding +1 to get the number of persons.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So now, can anyone tell me how can we get the per head contribution in cell C13? Now, this is the easiest step. It's just simple plain mathematics which we did in school, like very easy. So Rakesh, आप ही बता दो, आप like since you have already explained us it to it, can you just tell me what formula should I type here in the cell C13?
So B13 divided by H13.
Perfect. And then I just have to drag this formula down. So maybe I can use the field handler and drag the formula down. Now this is the per head contribution. You can reduce the decimals by just going here and then just click on here. You can reduce the decimals. So once you get this answer, the group can say कि भाई 328 Paytm कर दे. This would be the WhatsApp message. भाई 328 rupees Paytm कर दे. So every one person in that group. So now the per head contributions, everyone you can in the WhatsApp group float it. Itna contribution hua. So this is how you can solve questions in Excel, or you can build some. So if you see what we did in this case study, it was nothing fancy. What we did was we understood the length function. We did a basic jugaad of find and replace, and then we got the per head contribution. So that is the basic way of performing in Excel. Like this is what we would be doing. Like let's say आपको ये पूरी चीज आप formula से automate भी कर सकते हो. Now let's say this is something a basic level case study. Now how would I do it? I would do it this way. Like let me just add a column here. So how to add a column here? Just press Control C, right click here, and insert. So a column is inserted. So that is how would I do it with my advanced Excel knowledge. Length of this particular text minus length of substitute. Just don't worry about this, whatever I'm doing. I'll just put it in the chat box for you guys. I know it is getting great, but I just want to show you a feel of how we can do the things, and then +1. Control C, Control V. So this is how I would be doing with the help of formula. So आपने जो find and replace किया, I just used the formula of length. So this is for someone who is advanced in the batch and who wants to learn few advanced things. तो ये formula आपके लिए है. Don't take stress of this particular formula. You can forget it. I'll just hide it. So again, right click, go here, and you can hide it. So don't worry about it. So that is how you can hide it. So that is how we got the per head contribution. So I'll just delete this row so it doesn't create any confusion. So this is how we got the per head contribution. So that is how we built a simple case study. So this is a friends who went out for dinner. This was their total hotel bill. We came up with the per head contribution. So that is how you should logically think while performing or doing any calculations in Excel. So that marks the end of our session. So I'll quickly move to the FAQ section. Now I have given you the approach. I have told you how you can learn things, how you can make groups and learn things, but still I'd like to give you some additional resources. So first thing is I don't have an updated version of Excel, I'm using old Excel. To create a free account on office.com, and you can create by using a student ID, and you would be more than well, you can use the online version of Office. So that's one thing. If you have doubts and you want to reach out, so this is my WhatsApp number. This is my personal email ID. You can reach out to me. This is my LinkedIn account. You can send me doubts on LinkedIn as well. I do limited interactions on LinkedIn because of the volume. So preferably share it on WhatsApp with me. I'll do help you out. Can you share the session recordings and files? So yeah, I'll share this session file with the organizer. I think it's Navya or Arjun, and they will send it to you. You can follow my dedicated hashtag on Excel to get my all Excel posts in one go. And these are the 3 posts which I've written. So this is the most exhaustive list of people who would be helping you out with what would be the learning resources. So if you just copy paste this in the browser, you would be getting the list of trainers like Leela Gharani, Bill Jelen, Rishabh, Bhavish, Mavens, Chandu, Mark. So these are all like good list of Excel trainers. You can subscribe to their YouTube channels and you can start learning from them. Then here were few questions around like why you should, what's the process you should be doing while learning Excel, what topic should I cover. So again, this is the post which I've mentioned in this. And then again, someone had mentioned about keyboard shortcuts and how to go about it. So you would find all those contents available on on this dedicated hashtag. All you have to do is do a Control C, Control V, and you can go and paste it in the section, and you can go and read all my posts which are there on Excel. You can learn them. You can just go and read all my posts and you would get a lot of content. And in case you have doubts, you can always reach out to me on my WhatsApp number. So that's the flag end of our session. So thanks a lot for attending, and thank you all for taking out time on a Saturday evening and attending this session. So I end this session here. So I'll stop sharing my screen. And in case anyone has any doubt, you can feel free to unmute and ask your questions. Or in case if you have some exciting Saturday plans, then would like to know about that as well. And yeah, please don't call me sir. Please call me Chinmaya or Chinmaya Bhaiya. Sir seems a very odd thing. Like I want to have like a good rapport with my mentees. So I see you as mentees, not as students.
Can you just clarify on the question which I asked in between of how to add a 0 in front of the number?
Yeah. So I don't want to confuse other students with like a lot of text, and I would really request people if you can ask more theoretical questions or more approach based questions in the session. Alternatively, what you can do, Shri Krishna Kumar, you can reach out to me on WhatsApp, and I'll send you the solution. I want this to be more of a guidance kind of a questions rather than few specific questions. So.
Sorry to interrupt, Chinmay. I just wanted to inform that we will be posting a feedback form in the chat box, and all the participants are required to fill the form so as to get the participation certificate from our side.
Yeah. That's good to know. Yeah, anyone else has any question? Like, you can ask a generic question in terms of like whether it's finance jobs or, it's Excel, like more approach based questions. See, because there will be tens of formulas, there will be tens of case studies, and everyone will have solution. But let's utilize this 5 minutes to have, more approach based discussion rather than some specific question. And you can always reach out to me on WhatsApp. I'll be more than happy to share specific solutions with you as well.
Hey Chinmay, I had 2 questions for you. Yeah, so first was like while doing Excel. So sometimes what really happens is I copy the formula. So the formula is pasted for certain values. The references also works for certain things, but for some values it just shows NA. And it's very difficult to understand like where is the problem, because it's working for some, but for some it's not working.
Okay. And what's your second question?
Yeah, so second question regarding like I already connected with you on LinkedIn, and so I read the post on financial modeling as you mentioned. So the thing is, I means like started watching videos for financial modeling, but the thing was I didn't quite understand from the videos or the persons you have already mentioned. So
Okay.
like, can there be any other person?
Yeah. I'll answer you both the questions. So talking about your first question, what you can do is you can share the Excel file with me. So what you can do is you can do a screen recording and you can tell me, what's exactly the problem, kahan pe aane aa raha hai. You can share the dummy Excel file and the screen recording with me so that I can, give you a specific solution. So let's park it for WhatsApp because it's like a too specific problem. Second question about like, you want to learn financial modeling and you're learning some videos and YouTubes and you're not able to understand. That's perfectly fine. It's okay to have a learning curve. So financial modeling as a topic or as a as an idea or as a concept, it's difficult, and especially for someone who's an undergrad student, it's a bit difficult because it's not just about Excel, it's also about understanding the business model, or what's the key revenue drivers, cost drivers of the company. So what I would suggest is keep on watching the videos. If you don't understand the video, watch it again, and don't take stress of financial modeling per se. Like, take stress of some small specific topics. So if that trainer is asking you, okay, this is the scenario analysis, so try to understand that small particular topic, and then you would be able to understand why that scenario analysis, what is scenario analysis, or let's say explains you XLOOKUP. So just understand what is XLOOKUP, make notes around it, form a group of people, and discuss internally. So that is how you can break down into chunks, instead of taking stress of financial modeling or let's say economics as a subject, maybe you can just focus on understanding what is GDP and what is GNP. That is the one approach which you can follow. And in terms of you want some resources, so if free resources are not helping you, maybe you can go for a paid resources. Now this is like a pro bono seminar which I'm doing it for a college society, so mentioning few paid resources would not be ethically appropriate. So you can reach out to me on WhatsApp and I can recommend few specific trainers which are good with financial modeling, and you can learn from them. So that's answer to both of your questions. Anyone else has any questions? Like, more than happy to address them, or we can end the session.
Thanks, Chinmay.
Cool. So if we don't have any more questions, I'll have a couple of calls to make as well. So we can end this session. Like, again, thanks a lot for being a wonderful audience. Do reach out to me on WhatsApp in case you have any queries, and in case you want to give me a detailed feedback about the overall session. More than happy to listen to your detailed feedback on WhatsApp as well. So feel free to reach out on WhatsApp. More than happy to connect with you guys. And in case you want another session, like specific topic, like let's say financial modeling or anything, we can do another session as well. So more than happy to come again and discuss few topics with you as well. So over to the organizers, I think Navya and Arjun, like we can end the session in case you want to, or you want to discuss anything, and do share the feedback form with me as well, so that it will also help me to understand what were the responses of the students. Was I too fast? Was I too slow? Once you have got the feedback, do share it with me for for my own record keeping purposes.
Yeah, I'll do that. I think there aren't any more questions now, so we can probably end the session. So I would just like to thank you on behalf of the association and all the participants who joined us. It was a very informative session. We all learned a lot, and I personally learned a lot of new approaches. So it was an honor to have you here, Chinmay. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks a lot, man. Thank you so much. Chalo, bye guys. Have a great weekend, and feel free to reach out in case you need any help. Like, there is a lag in responses which I give because of the sheer volume, but I'll respond to you in a week's time or anything. So thanks a lot. Bye. Have a great day. Bye.